Yes, it does. Hello, everyone. Welcome tonight to our weekly Whys. I was just saying, does it tell me when we went live? So it told me. So this is good news. So we're happy that you are all here. We're happy to have everyone here tonight. We're happy to have Tyrel here, and we're going to introduce him in a minute. But first, let me get started by telling you about what Weekly Whys is. So it all started back in, April? I think it was April. And my brother Ryan and my sister-in-law Melissa and I were in the kitchen cleaning up from dinner, just talking and thinking, and we were trying to figure out a couple things. One was what to do to make our business, help our business move forward. And another thing was, what are we going to do with all of our leftover ice cream? So we had 3 freezers full of ice cream left over from our Ben & Jerry's free cone day event, and we just were trying to figure out what to do. And so between the two needs, Weekly Whys was born. So the mission and purpose of Weekly Whys is to offer valuable content from presenters of lecture series, also to let people know about the business that we are a part of, and of course to eat free Ben & Jerry's ice cream every single week with whoever will come and join us. So to you online, I'm sorry we haven't figured out that technology, but if you come to our house next week, free ice cream right here. So with that, we're going to turn the time over to Tyrel Wiltse, who we have known for a grand total of 3 weeks, and we're super excited that we know him and excited to hear what he has to say. So welcome, Tyrel.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. I am Tyrel Wiltse, and in addition to ice cream, I'm here to talk to you about my why. So my why is quite simply world peace and gravity. So world peace, to me, it came about as a placeholder for the many, many, many projects that have come into my space, many things that I get to do. And what's interesting, and I'll get into this a little bit more, but I actually got a blueprint for world peace, as well as the entire makeup of physical reality. So that was pretty cool. So a little bit about me. I'm currently a practicing shaman. I'm also an entrepreneur and a world peace coordinator. I was, for 10 years, a civil engineering inspector and worked on very many projects. I also have died 6 times. So I've got a pretty profound spiritual connection, which is part of what instigated the shamanic path, because I was looking for answers beyond what I was finding elsewhere. So the series is Weekly Whys, and I wonder, are each of you familiar with Simon Sinek's Golden Circle?
No.
No. Okay. So Simon Sinek's Golden Circle kind of looks like that. So this is an excellent little diagram. It's very simple, so it's very easy to remember. But the idea is that the psychology and the biology of the brain is built around these 3 layers, basically. And in Simon Sinek's Golden Circle on the TED Talk, he actually talks about how people make buying decisions. And they never make it based on what you have to offer, but why you're doing what you're doing. Now, that's great for selling things, but it's also really great for tuning into your purpose. So does anybody here know what their purpose is? If you wake up in the morning, you know exactly what your purpose is. Okay, what do you got, Hojo?
Empowerment.
Empowerment. That's a purpose you can get behind. It invigorates you in the morning, gives you that motivation to move forward. Cool. And you?
Yeah, my purpose, I'm getting pieces of it, and it has something to do with strengthening families and helping parents to create the exact families that they want.
Cool. So sometimes it's a very clear, just singular energy. Sometimes it's a bit of an amorphous vision that grows and builds accordingly.
Right.
So this is another part of the tool, which is you got why in the middle circle. The in-between circle is how, and then the outer circle, or the outside edge of it, is what. Kind of looks like an egg. So the shell is the what, the how is in between, and then the yolk is the why. Now this same diagram has lots of other applications, and what I've done extensively over the last couple of years is studied not only the work and the teaching of millionaires, but also the mentality that it takes to become a millionaire. Now, when I was a kid, I used to dream about having all sorts of money. And I would have this money because money meant that we could do things. We could take care of people. We could do the things that we couldn't do without the money. And so that was the goal. The goal was to get money. Well, what I realized was that money was simply a byproduct of service rendered. And luckily, through the mentoring network, I got the formula, the 21 secrets, and I got a bunch of other tools to integrate that energy and that information in. But unless I know what my purpose is, what my why is, and where I'm going with it, then there isn't really anything that I can do other than just feel it. There's no action. There's no forward progress. And there's no money as a result of it. So the next aspect, and this actually comes out of the teaching of Stephen Covey. And this is, no, that's not right. It comes out of the zigzag principle. So this tool, same diagram, is called the beacon in the fog. And so this is your area of focus. And this is your area of awareness. And this is a great tool for blueprinting. And this is for those online. This is a great tool for blueprinting because it gives you an opportunity to know exactly where you get to focus on. So what are you doing right now? It also gives you an opportunity to tune into what you're aware of. Now you can be aware of very many things, but until you choose into them, then they don't become part of your focus. And as your focus expands, then you can get closer to that goal of this is what it actually has to look like. So as that why expands into the how and then into the what, it's a very similar model. So this is the basic outline of what came to me. So I've used these tools. I've been able to apply a bunch of different attributes therein, but what really motivated me was the passion, the connection, the energy that I felt when I was connected to what I experienced as source. Now, source to me shows up in many different ways, and I studied a lot of different traditions because the first couple of times that I died, I was really young and I didn't really have an application for it. It was like, okay, this happened. It was absolutely real. I had this experience, but what do I even do with it? And how do I relate it to people who haven't had that experience before? And what I realized is a lot of people have had profoundly spiritual experiences, but they don't really necessarily have the tools or the training or the insight to share those tools and those insights and really turn into a physical reality, physical existence, these emotions, these energies, this empowerment. What does that look like? What does that look like for the individuals? So that was the focus, was how do I create that? So I meditated on it for 70 days straight. For a couple hours a day, I would meditate and I'd just sit and I'd wait quietly for the answers to come. And that was just what I knew I got to do, and I didn't have any other way of getting those answers, getting that clarity. So I just sat and I waited. And so many things, I didn't bring them with me today because I was told not to, so I didn't. But I've got about 13 notebooks that are filled with all these different divergent possibilities. And a lot of those tools I've actually just given away to people because I've chosen not to cultivate those. And that profound spiritual experience, the first couple of times I died, then the next couple of times where I had more of a conscious understanding of physicality and who I was and what was going on. So then I got to create that experience and then build from it. And walk people through that, because a lot of people don't really know what words or the different doctrines or different ideas to really quantify what their near death or afterlife or these other different experiences are. So for me, that's where I began to see how world peace was possible. And then not only possible, but practical. So all these examples started showing up because I started with the belief that it was not only possible, but it was practical, that there were practical tools to be used. This little simple diagram is one of those tools. Other tools include karmic processing, beautiful, powerful tool for cathartic release, shifting belief paradigms, affirmations, all these other things. It became an amalgamation of the many, many hundreds of thousands of hours of study that I've invested in these different mentors, these different training methods, these different approaches. So when I first started into this field of world peace coordination, which I just invented the title because that's what I get to do. And that's one of the beautiful things about being an entrepreneur, is that I can do that. And I make up words all the time, put them together, mash them up, because it's like, well, what is this? Well, it's energy kinesthetics. Well, what is that? Well, it's energy, and the kinesthetics is the movement through the body, so it's energy as it moves through the body. Cool, can you teach on that? Yeah, I've got several hundred hours worth of training on that. Oh, well, what about this? I'm having this experience. Through the connection that I had with dying physically, and dying mentally and spiritually the last couple of times, that was fun. And then identity-wise too, so yeah, good stuff. But because of that connection, I was able to shift my perspective. And this is what is very powerful about these very simple tools, is that they allow you to shift your perspective. And I carry some of these powerful perspective shifting tools with me to remind myself, but also to demonstrate to others. So what is this?
A die.
Like a Dorado. No, it's a die.
Okay. And how is it defined? What geometric object is it? Okay. Do you agree?
Yes.
How many sides does this have?
6.
6.
Okay. And how do you know that?
Played a lot of dice games.
Is that where you're, okay?
That's right. So I can't see all the sides. I can only see 3.
Okay.
But I believe that the other sides are out there too.
Okay, so that brings up an important point. You can't see all of them. Why can't you see all of them?
Because of the perspective that I have, the angle that I'm looking at it.
Okay, so can you see 3 at all times?
No.
3 is the most you can see, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at it just straight on, you can only see 1. So, for the audience at home. So, what's important about this? Do we all agree that this is a die?
I don't know, you haven't weighed in yet.
Exactly. Do we all agree that it has 6 sides?
Same.
Right, same answer, right? So this came through as a very powerful tool because I was trying to define what makes reality. Pretty simple task. What actually creates the reality as we experience it? Because in my experiences, and I'm being called to share that I also got to experience lightning striking on the tennis court while I was there, that was a profound experience. I felt the surge of the energy before, and then struck the net, and there was a chain link fence all around it, and went around there, and that was pretty awesome. Getting tingles even still thinking about it. But is that reality? Or the reality of me driving in today, or the reality of people at home watching, or here watching, or experiencing? Are those realities real? And if so, how do we know?
My answer is we feel the true reality.
Okay, absolutely. So there's a feeling reality. This I know is true. I know this is true because I'm awake now, and this is the reality I'm experiencing. However, when we're dreaming, which is an awesome reality to play around in, is that any less real?
Not when we're actually in the dream.
Okay. So what changes? What changes from the dream to the waking state?
Consciousness.
Right. So this is the tool that I submit as the way that world peace becomes practical. This dialogue that we're having on something as simple as how we perceive reality, or as complex, depending on which route we go, is fundamental to creating a peaceful world, because rather than me saying, this is a six-sided figure, all the sides are squares, they connect at perpendicular and parallel angles, and this is a cube, and telling you what your reality is now, which is how we received a lot of this information when we were younger. You go to science class, you go to math class, whatever, this is a cube, this is how it's defined, this is all that it can be or ever will be. Now, there's also this tool, which performs a similar function to this, but it has 20 options. Now, are the principles that you can see in this, 1, 2, 3 sides, still applicable to this one?
It's different numbers.
Right.
But the same idea is there, that you can't see all the sides at the same time.
So at most, you can see half, or 1/6, or 1/3. And that's why I carry these around, to demonstrate that fairly simple principle. Now, from the basic principle that's within the cube, you can see the fundamental dualistic reality that we exist in. Black and white, light and dark, light and heavy, those kind of things. The only reason you can't see the other side is because you don't have the light shining on it. If we had a mirror back here, you could see the entire cube. And that's the beauty of individual interaction, is that we can each operate as mirrors of each other. Now, if I had told you, hey, I can see 3 sides, how many can you see? I can see 3. Okay, what are the numbers on your sides? And then you can read them, and oh, okay, well, between all of those, and wait, there's one here, yeah. Well, based on what I can tell and what I can tell and what I can tell, it looks like it's probably a die, it's probably a cube. So based on the current numbering system, I'm gonna guess that this number is that. Do you think that's that? Do you think that's, oh, sweet. Then we figure it out. Collaboration, dialogue. Some of these very simple, basic tools that we have so many tools to facilitate now. We've got the internet, we've got phones, we've got all these different recording devices, timers, all this other fun stuff that gives us all these distractions and all these tools and all these abilities. But if we don't have the basic foundational understanding of who we are, why we're here, what our purpose is, what we're going towards, and the simple fundamental communication skills to say, this is what my purpose is. And that takes courage, that takes words, that takes insight and training on a deep personal level. But it's doable. It's achievable. It's something, whether you invest in a power hour each day, whether you do the, you just came from a meeting, right? That you got to spend about half an hour at, you got to eat, spend a little bit of time there. Do you feel like you got out of it what you could have?
I'm not going to say that I couldn't have gotten more out of it, but I got out of it what I hoped for.
Okay.
Food and a little relaxation,
Okay.
some good company and good conversation. All of that was there, and that's what I planned on and hoped for.
So if, for instance, your day was filled with, instead of half an hour, 5 hours of that kind of interaction, what would your general energy level be like?
For me, really, that would depend on the topics of conversation and the mindset of the people involved in the conversation.
Cool.
Because for me, and interactions like that on a large scale can be very emotionally draining for me, or very emotionally invigorating,
right?
Depending on those two factors, really.
Which has a lot to do with the individual, right? And the individual has their own application to the scenario. And how often do you invest in this meeting that you went to?
This particular type of meeting happens monthly.
Okay. So do you typically get about half an hour in each month?
Since we started Weekly Wise, that's about how long I get, because I come home early for Weekly Wise. Before Weekly Wise, I'd stay for a little time and sometimes stay a little longer, an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Cool. So are you getting from Weekly Wise what you were getting from that?
No, not the same thing.
Okay. Does it serve you in another way?
Weekly Wise? Definitely.
Cool. So making that choice to make that investment is where you end up with the why and the longer term, the focus and the awareness.
Yes.
So another tool that I'd like to share with you, again, fairly simple, is this equation, which is E times A equals C. So that's E times A equals C. And E times A equals C is a basic formula for the results that you get in your life. It allows you to make a connection between not only what you're experiencing and your part to play in it. So it's a great accountability tool for kids, adults, anything like that. But it also allows you to change your results based on application and awareness of the equation. So it stands for energy times action equals creation. Now again, this is a very simplified formula. There are others out there, like y plus what plus how plus when. That's Chris Crumb's personal formula. And the different energies that we have to incorporate into this. Now, as you described that situation, I get that if the energy was different, then the action and the same amount of time in there would give you a different result. Now, this can also be applied to a personal level. If your energy about something is different and you apply the same amount of action, then you're going to get a different result. So this is a great tool to tune in. If you're not getting the results that you want, what's your energy like? If you're just going through the motions because you're expected to, or because that's on schedule or anything like that, but your energy is not there, then it's not likely that you're going to get the results that you want. So, Ojo, when you wake up in the morning and feel the energy, the spark of empowerment, what do you choose to do with that?
Very first thing I do every morning is I pray and I say I am still dedicated to my life of greatness.
Okay.
And I remind myself of all the things that I am dedicated to creating in my life.
Okay. So in the morning, you feel that spark of empowerment, and you are consciously expressing your decision, your choice to create that in your space. So you are working on consciously manifesting this empowerment into your space. Awesome. So have you shared that experience with anyone else?
I often share with my wife my thoughts, my heart, whether it's specifically, do I share how I start my morning?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay. Do you feel that it would benefit her to know how you start your morning?
Perhaps.
Okay, so it's a possibility.
Yeah.
Now, you aren't saying, this is how I start my morning, and so it's going to be how you start your morning, and it's going to be how everybody starts their morning because my way is the only way. That'll get you certain results. But if you don't give a person the option to interact with your way of being, with your way of experiencing life, then the only answer they're ever going to get for that situation is no. So the answer to any question that you don't ask is no. Quite simply. Giving someone the opportunity to experience what you have to share there. I also have a morning ritual that has assisted me over the last couple of weeks in really just driving that force, that creativity, that essence of who I am into the things that I choose to do. And that includes daily journaling, setting the energetic intentions, documenting my actions, dialoguing, and really cultivating what I've learned in that day. So it's an amalgamation of all these different things. And I can teach and share that process with anyone because I've made it that way. When I first started out, I had no idea the different applications. I just knew what I felt inspired to do. And this is what I call divinely inspired action. With divinely inspired action, I'm just doing, and in a lot of cases not thinking about it, which is awesome because I think a lot. So having a reprieve and not thinking is beautiful. It's calm. It's peaceful. Now, I also absolutely love being abundantly and joyfully active and going out and motivating people and getting on stages and saying, yeah, this is what we're going to do. I love that. But if I came at every situation with that energy, I could overpower some people who aren't ready for that. And this is where, and this came up actually in this week's mentoring call, was the application of dialogue. Now this is true dialogue, not conversation. And the difference between those two words is conversation is an exchange meant to convert someone to your way of thinking, being, or doing. Has its proper application, but if you always go into the space where you're going to have a conversation, and going to convert everybody to my way of thinking, being, and doing, then people will begin to avoid you. Because maybe they want to be heard. Maybe their way of thinking, being, and doing is working for them. If you start with the belief that there's only one way, there's only one way to describe a cube, a die, a three-dimensional object, then you aren't giving that other person an opportunity to dialogue. And dialogue is two equal bodies sharing freely what inspires them. And the fun part about dialogue is nothing actually has to be accomplished. That's the beauty of it. Dialogue can simply be, hey, I experienced this today. Oh, cool. I experienced this today. Oh, cool. Maybe you choose to acknowledge in whatever way you choose to acknowledge, but it's simply an exchange. There is no, well, you should think, feel, and say and do about that this way, because then your life would be so much better. Okay, that's an opinion. It's a theory. But do you know that individual well enough? Now, maybe that individual's come to you and said, my life, it's so hard, and I do these things, and it doesn't work out, and they keep coming to you for advice. Great. Advice is different than actual coaching, actual dialogue, actual connection. So I did a teleseminar series recently. It was called The Art of Dialogue. And I saved those recordings because I knew that what I was experiencing, what I was outflowing, was going to have a profound impact to those who are ready to listen. And for everybody who's on tonight, and for all those here, I'm offering that teleseries as a thank you for being in the space. And for me, that's really where world peace happens. World peace happens because I get myself into a space of abundance. And abundance is a state of being. It isn't a state of the things that you have. It isn't a state of the things that you can do. It's a state of being, feeling that abundance that comes within. So when I operate from a space of abundance, and I have an abundance of training materials, so many training materials that I have developed and cultivated and shared, and as individuals come to me with their individual journey and I find new, amazing, powerful ways to share with them, then I turn that into a training tool. And then I incorporate 12 different training tools into this one person because that's the specific combination, their own personal Rubik's Cube, to make this message stick so that they can get what they're inspired to do. So I'm offering that to all who are interested. What's beautiful about that is it explores active listening. Active listening is the last tool that I'll leave you with tonight. Active listening is simply allowing yourself to experience the other person exactly as they are without any judgments. Now, that space of non-judgment takes practice. One of the simplest paths to a space of non-judgment is listening without the intent to respond. If you simply listen to the other individual, they will tell you more than any series of questions you were prepared to ask, any avenues or anything else you're ready to explore. They were going to tell you more just by being allowed to talk and express themselves than you could possibly think to ask. Now, parents may experience active listening with kids whose verbal skills may not be, Oxford level necessarily just yet. But even if they are, do you speak Oxford level verbal skills? So this is where, as Ojo shared, deeply tuning into the feeling. What feeling are you getting from the other individual? Now there's other tools like grounding and clearing and intuition and all these other things that come in that can assist that process. But quite simply, when you actively listen and you pause and reflect, then you have an opportunity to share the perfect message in the perfect moment in the perfect way. And when you can do that, whatever you would experience as world peace, and this is where it really gets expansive, whatever you would personally experience as world peace begins to happen. There's peace within your world, and the worlds that you overlap and interact with will experience that peace. And this is where we get into harmonic resonance, Nikola Tesla, and all the other fun stuff, where science is actually proving that there's a feedback, feed-forward loop within our quantum states. So, honoring the time that I've chosen to be here, are there any questions that you have? Any any additional connections or anything else that I can serve your highest and greatest good with this evening?
If this had been not a lecture series, it would have been me going, wait a minute, so what about this? What about this? Because you just got my mind going. So
And that's exactly what I'm here for. Get that flowing.
I have a few questions I wrote down.
Cool.
So one was, so is what you're saying in essence that if all of us will tune into our purpose and live it,
Mhm.
that won't just be our own individual world peace, that's widespread for everyone's world peace. Like,
Yeah.
that's the answer for the whole world.
Yeah.
To have peace.
Yeah, it's very, very simple. The ripple effect is fairly common, pretty popular for people, but to really understand it, good tingles. So to really understand it, you get to look at it more as well, right now, we've got wind going on right now. So if you were to describe wind scientifically, what would it be?
The exchange of heat transfer between air molecules. No, that's not quite right. But that's what causes the wind.
Mhm.
An imbalance of temperature, and trying to bring that into balance is what causes wind. Movement of the air.
So if you were to describe wind to a 4-year-old, how would you do that?
I wouldn't do it that way.
Okay.
I would say the air is moving around.
Okay, the air is moving
Blowing
around.
on you.
It's blowing on you. Okay. So there's a scientific approach, there's a simplified approach, and there's many different approaches in between.
Yeah.
Would you say that air is a fluid?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
It actually is. But we have the experience that air is a gas. In fact, it's a dense fluid, and that's the reason it stays here and we can breathe. Otherwise, it'd be out in space. There's lots of other reasons why it's not out in space, but that's a simplified version. So air is a fluid, and when you think about air, wind as a fluid, then the dynamics of it make a little bit more sense because a fluid is more tangible. So getting back to the question, yes, each individual resonating in their own particular pattern is going to create a resonance. And this is also a very simplified version. This is also the blueprint for world peace that I got. It was a 3-dimensional model, multi-dimensionally layered, but 3-dimensional spheres overlapping, kind of like soap bubbles. Much more intricate, energetically dynamic, but yeah. So that looks like you and you and you and me and everybody else waking up whenever they wake up and contributing however they contribute. Because you know, even if you are isolated physically, you have an electronic blueprint, you have all these other things that are making this impact, these ripples out into your space. Now, whether that's simply energetically or through your actions or through your interpretation of the actions and so on and so forth, and it's this multiple resonating field. Now, science and spirituality are beginning to merge on how they're seeing these. And through living your purpose, defining your reality, you begin to say, this is what's true for me. And then when you have the words and the exchanges to actually share that truth with other people, then you can inspire them. And you can exchange trust with them. And you can have all these other tools that will allow you to grow into that realm that you want to be in.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So when you were talking about active listening, is it specifically, you talked about how more will flow than any series of questions you could have asked would have drawn out of someone. Is it specifically the lack of judgment you're saying
Lack of
that
judgment.
allows that to happen?
Yeah, lack of judgment is a very key part.
Yeah.
I've got many, many different perspective tools. One's a pendulum, there's a bunch of other ones that really express this expression of duality. The reason that I focus on lack of judgment is because in the pendulum example, lack of judgment actually stops pulling the pendulum from one side or the other and just allows it to determine wherever it's at. With the active listening, another key thing that comes up And a lot of us, even if we're not classically trained, we have a very deep understanding of the body language of individuals that we spend time with. And even if it's just a friend or even a casual acquaintance, there's certain cues that allow you to see, oh, this additional message is being delivered. And if the person is stifled or different techniques and different awarenesses, then you can say, oh, wait a minute, it looks like there's something going on. Now you don't have to, oh, wait a minute, pause, I just saw a body language cue, because that makes people incredibly self-conscious.
Yes.
Especially when you tell people, yeah, I'm a body language expert. Whoa, wait, I don't know what to do with my hands, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So just allow yourself to receive the inspiration, the insight, without judging it. Because that particular gesture for Ojo could mean something completely different for you. This body posture for you could mean something completely different for Matt. All of these different interactions are very unique to the individual. All our stories, all of our essences are unique, which is why when I say world peace, I don't say, okay, here's what we're going to do first, and here's how it's going to look, and the rest of this. Because really, as amazingly, powerfully beautiful as my blueprint is, I can't see that much. I can't see all of that because it's infinitely changing and flowing. And you know, as you activate today and you activate tomorrow, and then you coalesce and overlap and do these other things, there's so many different possibilities that come from it. But if you know why you're doing it and you know where you're going with it, then the harmonic resonance, the overtone, the emergence begins to come in. And then the individuals can say, okay, I know what my purpose is. I know why I'm here, and I know what I want to create, whatever that gets to look like. And if you have the mentorship and you have the tools and you have the insight and the direction, then this just becomes so much simpler.
Yeah. That totally blows out of the water the idea that one person cannot make a difference.
Absolutely.
Like, that is absolutely ridiculous,
yeah,
because of all of the energy that they're putting out by just living the way they're supposed to.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Totally
and
amazing.
that level of empowerment is what people, they come and tune into on a very deep, catalytic level. I tell people, okay, find another tool. We're a little bit over on time, but I've got a lot of tools to share. So another tool is the Teachability Index. Are you guys familiar with that? Okay. So Teachability Index is 2 pretty simple questions. And this is a great way to tune in to whether you're ready to do something, learn something, change something in your life, whatever. So the 2 very simple tools are the questions from 1 to 10. First question is, right now, what's your willingness to learn? Scale of 1 to 10. And whatever it is, if your willingness to learn right now is a 1, I'm completely overloaded with information, can possibly learn another thing. Perfect. Be honest with where you're at. If it's higher on the end of the scale, great, you're ready to learn something. The next question that I ask, and this really creates a discernment, creates a culling, if you will, that weeds people out and says, okay, now's not the time. The second question is, same scale of 1 to 10, what's your willingness to change? Now, change for a lot of people has a whole lot different connotations than learn. I can learn something, absolutely, but wait, it might change my life, or it's going to change my life? I've had some experiences with change in the past. I'm not too excited. Or, I'm super excited. I'm so ready for a change. Let's do this. So that first scale of 1 to 10, and that second scale of 1 to 10, you multiply them together, and that gives you your Teachability Index. I recommend for people, if their Teachability Index isn't at least about 54, so a 9 and a 6 or some variation thereof, then reflect on where you're at and get a better bearing of where you're at in your life. Yeah, with these basic tools, you can basically tune into any aspect of your purpose. Cool?
Awesome. Totally awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you. Well, the main thing, I mean, at some events that we go to, we're encouraged to shout out when we have a breakthrough and just say, breakthrough! It probably would happen 12 times for me tonight if I was in the shouting out mode. So that was really profound for me to listen. So thank you very much, Tyrel.
Thank you.
I think my very, very favorite part about what Tyrel shared with us tonight is how no one has to tell anyone else any answers. And to me, that's amazing and empowering. That nobody has the answers for anyone else. We all have the answers for ourselves, and with our connection to whatever higher source that we have, that's where the answers are. And so sometimes in my interactions with mentors and others, when it's question time, I feel like people just say, well, what should I do about this? And down to the nitty-gritty details, and I think, I don't actually want to know what other people say I should do about that. I want to figure out for myself, tell me the principle. Let me figure out my application, because it's going to be so much more powerful if we all apply the principles the way that makes sense for us.
Yep.
But knowing the principles is what empowers us to do that. And so,
I love to hear that feedback too. I love when people dialogue with me, because they always find some amazing new way to use it that I may not have even thought of.
Yeah. And
that's where I love the principles of dialogue, because so much gets exchanged in that.
So cool. And I agree that it's very, very simple. It's practical, what you're saying. I believe you that it creates world peace, and it seems very simple and doable for all of us. So incredible. I love it. So thank you very much. And now to shift just a little bit, we're going to talk more specifically about the business. And to do that, I'm going to invite Ojo up, who is, well, I was going to say is more commonly known as, but there's a lot of answers to that part too. So he's my brother, and I've called him a whole lot of different things, and Ojo's the most recent thing. He's been working as a business developer for Strongbrook for a year and a half now. And I'm not exactly inside, like I don't always live in the same house as he does, but I'm about as close to the inside as you can get without, being in the immediate family. And I've just seen a huge transformation coming from the things he's been learning and doing in this business. And so to me, that recommends not necessarily the business unless it's right for you too, but it recommends the process of following people who are changing and improving their lives like this. And so in my opinion, on that note, Ryan is one to follow, because he's making the changes that's making his life better. And for those that he resonates with, he's one that is going to help people go a long way. And so with that, we'll turn it over to Ryan to tell us about the business.
So the first thing I want to do for everyone, I want to have everyone ground, to connect to source. There's several ways to do this. The one I like is to put hands out like this, to imagine receiving the energy that you want into your heart. Simply ask one very beautiful, powerful, profound question. What is my next step? Okay, give everyone a chance to reflect on that. Now, the fact that you're here today says a great deal about who you are and what your purpose is. This message that Tyrel shared has impacted me on a deep level. I can tell that this is a man that I resonate with. And so this mentoring network, what is it? It's a series of people. Now it's dozens, maybe over 100 people. Each of these people have developed themselves, have connected with their purpose, and they have dedicated their lives to sharing what they have gained, their wisdom, with everyone. So a person who comes into this network is asked that simple question: what is the next step, and what is the life that you want to live? Right? We've all been given plenty of messages from the time we were children This is what your role is. This is what you do. This is what you do not do. This is what you believe. This is what you do not believe. Many of these messages we weren't aware of. We weren't conscious to, at least. We simply did the best we knew how and have all of these ideas, and many of them don't actually serve us, aren't actually correct in connection with our divine purpose. So to invite everyone to come and participate and experience the mentoring network means, what are you trying to create? What life do you want to create? What is true for you? As we discussed, imagine you go into the optometrist's office because your vision is impairing you in your life, and the optometrist takes his glasses and say, these are what will help you see, and they give them to you, and you go out the door and you stub your toe and you fall on your face, because that's what's true for him. What's true for you, that's what you are going to create when you come to the mentoring network. So right now it's a website and it's a community website of all these people sharing their messages with all the same intention. They're inviting you to listen, feel their energy, and decide what is right for you. What is the life you want to live? How do you want to feel in your life? And so people who plug in, you can plug in for the basic rate of $99 a month and hear all of these messages and select which one person is the next person for you to hear, to experience. And you can decide when that person is given their message, ready to move on, you go on to the next person. So for $99 a month is actually, if that's right for you, is a very, very, very basic investment in yourself. Do you love yourself enough to invest in yourself? Enough to manifest the life that you really want? And if the answer is yes, then you need to be a part of this mentoring network. So you come in at that rate, you have access to all of this content, this audio, this video, these seminars that are doing. You also have access to the community of people that they gather at least monthly to do a mentoring symposium. We hear from several different mentors, and you feel each other's energy, and you coordinate with each other, collaborate with each other. And there are other events as well, but that's the basic. If you are interested in investing in yourself, then this is the mentoring network. This is what you need to be a part of. $99 a month to manifest the life you want. Now, even if the mentoring network does not resonate with you, I would plead with you, find out what does. Invest in yourself somehow, some way, because you are worth it. There are other services that Stromberg provides, but that's the main one. That's the one that drives this weekly whys, the why to life, the finding your purpose. What is it that motivates me? What is it that I want to wake up for in the morning? So I have transformed my life in such profound ways, and now I feel like that the past was me simply living out the patterns that other people gave to me, and I took on, not knowing any better, and I was living someone else's life. I wasn't actually living. So now I feel like I've gained so much wisdom that now I get to live my life the correct way that brings me the most joy. So please do not wait. Do not wait another moment. As soon as this presentation is over, pull up the website, the.strongbrook.com, or just remember strongbrook.com. Click on the mentoring and see what's there. And if you can't do it immediately after, schedule a time to go on and see what this is about, feel what it's about, and give yourself permission to dream. What could my life be like? What could it feel like? Who could I interact with? What things am I doing? Explore those questions, and you will find such great freedom. So that is the Stromberg presentation. That's the mentoring network. So now we're going to bring on the ice cream. This is Tyrel's favorite ice cream. This is what resonates with them. So chocolate therapy is chocolate ice cream with chocolate cookies and swirls of chocolate pudding ice cream. So
Almost enough chocolate.
almost enough chocolate. So the first bite goes to our viewers. There you go, my friends.
Salud.
So let's just quickly reiterate how, oh yeah, that too. So if you want more information to hook up with Tyrel or to hook up with Strongbrook, let's make sure you have the information. So Tyrel, the dialogue seminar, teleseminar, how do we access that?
So simply go to tyrelwiltse.com. So that's TYRELWILTSE.com. There's a little feedback form right on the page. Go ahead and submit there. They can also connect to me through Facebook. Simply type my name into Google and you'll pull up many different Facebook accounts and different ways to access me.
Great, perfect. And if you're interested in more information on the mentoring network, again, just like Ryan said, to look up on the website itself. To connect in with Ryan's particular one, it's the.strongbrook.com. If you have further questions, contact Tyrel, or further questions about Strongbrook, you can contact Tyrel there too, I think.
And Ryan.
Or contact Ryan or us, we're the parks. Or you can leave your questions on Weekly Wise lecture series, and so we can continue.
Comment on this video.
Yeah, if you are watching online and you just would put in a message on the YouTube or on the Facebook page to say, hey, I watched, I loved it, or whatever you want to say, we'd love to get a feel for what it's like watching at home and all of you participating. Next week is Daniel, right, Matt?
Yep, Blumberg.
Next week is Daniel Blomberg coming, and he is tuning in a big way, from what I can tell, with his purpose, and it all revolves around music.
Cool.
And so he's doing really cool things with music and with humanitarian aid that is going together. He has some cool world experience. He's not native of the United States, and so I hope we get a flavor just from how little Matt and I interacted with him. We were really impressed, and we think it'll be a really enjoyable evening next week. 2 weeks from now, we have one of my dearest friends, Deanna Rowan, coming and speaking. And I've heard her speak on numerous occasions in numerous settings. And I always, always, always love it. So many of you, if you like me, you'll like her and then some. And she's just amazing. So
Well, this Saturday too is a way to interact in person.
good idea. One other announcement. This Saturday, in Provo, there's a relationship workshop. I don't know if that's what they're calling it. All-day event at the Provo Convention, Utah Valley. What's it called?
Utah Valley Convention.
Utah Valley Convention Center from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Pretty much.
I don't have all the details down, but you can register. Somebody announced this. It's not me. I don't know all the details.
If you just go to eventbrite.com and type in relationship forum, Strongbrook Relationship Forum.
Yep.
That'll get you
You
there.
can come live, you can watch online live stream.
Yeah.
And many powerful mentors coming to speak about relationships. Something to look forward to. So thank you again, everyone, and let's go eat some ice cream.
Let's do it.